Chapter 60:18. Although Steve was depressed, he didn't dare to say anything more. He could only say with a sorry smile, Okay, when I finish the things at hand, I will contact Mr. Wade and go to China to visit him in person. Helena nodded. That makes sense. Steve at this point was speechless and choked. By now the two of them had already walked to the helicopter. So Helena said, I think it is enough, Mr. Rothschild. Don't you have a meeting at 10 o'clock? It's almost time. Steve said with some respect. Your Majesty the Queen, have a safe journey. Helena nodded slightly and smiled in return. Her every frown and smile were extremely dignified. And her every move showed royal style. Steve looked at it and his heart trembled. He was not moved by Helena's appearance and temperament, but felt that the more dignified Helena was, the more evil she looked to him. In her 20s, he speaks with murderous intent. How can this be compared to ordinary people? However, Steve did not dare to have any dissatisfaction. After watching Helena board the helicopter and watching the helicopter go away, he breathed a sigh of relief, turned around, and was about to go back, when he happened to meet his son Royce, who was looking for him. As soon as Royce saw him, he said hurriedly, Dad, Grandpa asked you to go directly to the family conference room after seeing off the Queen. There is a meeting. Steve said listlessly, Okay, I understand, let's go. Royce on the side saw that his father was a little depressed. He quickly lowered his voice and asked cautiously, Dad, how did it go? Steve shook his head and said dejectedly, Stop dreaming. Your grandfather will not keep his promise. What? When Royce heard this, he immediately asked with a look of shock. Why? Didn't he agree that we would hold a family meeting today to pass on the position of patriarch to give it to you? Steve smiled bitterly. What's the use of agreeing? It's not written in the contract. Isn't it your grandpa who has the final say whether to give it or not? Royce didn't sleep last night. He just thought that after his father ascended to the throne today, he would also become the first heir of the family. By then, he did not know how many people would kneel down and lick him. He had even begun to imagine that the Nordic Queen Helena would throw herself into his arms. He pictured the hugging. But he only had this sweet dream for one night. And his father actually said that there was no chance of succeeding to the throne. Isn't this a lie? Royce, who had never experienced social beatings, his eyes turned red in an instant. He choked and asked, Dad, if Grandpa doesn't let you succeed, aren't we happy in vain? If you don't succeed, Queen Helena will still be willing to marry me? Steve said dumbfounded, Even if I succeed, Helena can't marry you. Why? Royce asked in confusion. Why not? Steve thought of Charlie and said angrily, This woman has sold her soul to the devil. Royce thought his father meant this. It means that Helena has an evil character, so he subconsciously said, It doesn't matter, Dad, I can do it. Steve glared at him, Is this something you can do? Royce looked confused. Helena came to see Grandpa in person today. Doesn't she want to get closer to us? Will she still refuse to marry us? Steve kicked him and cursed, Shut up. If I hear you mention your marriage to her again in the future, don't blame me for slapping you with my big hand.